to all those local county officials who now find themselves flush with cash and they're trying to figure out, man, what do we do with all of this money? I've got a great idea. Give it back to the people from whom you stole it. That's what you should do with that money. Howdy, my name is Pastor Will Martin. I am running for the office of Fayette County Judge, and I wanted to discuss something that I read in the paper, in the Fayette County Record. It's from Tuesday, June 14th. So the article, the title of the article is Sheriff Asking for Big Raises for His Officers. And so basically, base pay for entry-level deputies would go from $41,509 to $45,000. That's an 8.4% increase. The most experienced deputies would see their base pay go from $47,000 to and change to $60,000, and you know, some other things are mentioned. And so I don't think that we ought to have a really huge gut reaction to like first responders needing raises and asking for raises. But there's something that happened here that two things that I want to point out about the way local politics are happening right now that ought to make, it ought to make every Fayette County resident literally fighting mad. Our war for independence was fought over lesser things than what this article shares concerning the view that's being brought to bear about taxation. So listen to what our sheriff said. Korinek said that the county can afford the raises due to rising property tax appraisals. So think about this now. The argument is not just our first responders need raises. There's a justification of raising salaries because taxes have been raised. And now we have our county has all of this money because they've skyrocketed the property tax rates. So he says everyone needs a raise, and I think everyone needs a substantial raise, Korinek said. I know we've got some funds additional from before due to the appraisals. That is infuriating. It's infuriating to me that we have a group of people who are raising taxes, and now all of a sudden our county has all of this money, and now there's this local grab for all the cash. Like, I know we've got money, and so we want substantial raises. It should not work that way, brothers and sisters. We should first start with what kind of things should government be providing and what kind of things should government stay out of. What is this going to cost? And then we can talk about how to raise those funds, as opposed to, look, it's the strike while the iron is hot. Let's raise taxation, and then we'll be flush with cash, and it'll all be great. And so the article goes on to say tax appraisals increased by 15 to 20% across the county this year, with some areas seeing even higher values. The rising appraisals could bring the county a bunch of new revenue, depending on how the Commissioner's Court sets the tax rate for the next year. That's something every Fayette County resident ought to hear. It depends on how the Commissioner's Court sets the tax rate for next year. You ought to call your commissioner and you ought to say, set it as low as you can possibly set it. Stop stealing our money. So that's the one thing that I want to point out to you about this article that kind of brings to bear something that's very problematic, is that they're just in the mindset of those who set tax rate, who set tax appraisal values. In their mind, there's no cap. There's no cap. There's no number at which it would cease being, in their view, taxation, and it would start being theft. It's just going to continue to grow. Okay? That has to change. That has to change. And this article is really helpful because it illustrates what happens when you just tax. Like, we can raise taxes, and so we're going to raise taxes, and now all of a sudden we've got all of these different local entities grabbing for that cash and seeking raises and all these things. Okay, so that's one problem. Second problem is something that, and God be praised for Precinct 1 Commissioner Jason McBroom for pointing this out. So Judge Weber gave an example. So our sheriff is asking for raises for all of his people, saying, you know, we need these raises. Well, Judge Weber gave an example of one sheriff's officer employee with a base salary of $59,000 annually, which doesn't sound like much. $59,000 is, you know, that's what the base salary is. And Judge Weber said that the employee actually made more than $80,000 with overtime and certificate pay, according to the employee's W-2 form. Quote, if the sheriff got his raises, if the commissioner's court gave him the raises that he's asking for, quote, they would be over $100,000 with the pay increase, said Precinct 1 Commissioner Jason McBroom. We don't think we can make it that much, Weber said. So here's the second problem that I want to point out from this article. So the first is this just sinful mentality that we can raise taxes first and then figure out what to do with the money. That's one problem. The second problem is this mentality of, or this happenstance of somebody, a local government employee, that their base pay is $59,000, but their take home is $80,000. We need to be able to figure out, I'm told that you can, I've been told two things, and trying to figure out, what do people who work for the county, what do they actually make? And those things are posted, what they should make, the budgeted amounts or the base salary. But it's extremely hard to find what local government employees actually are making. And that's problematic. Because anytime you can make money in the dark, anytime that you can, it looks like a very moderate, normal salary, but in actuality, they're making a lot more. It's problematic because that invites sinful behavior. That invites people doing skeezy things in order to make more money than they're actually supposed to be paid. And so I'm running for the office of Fayette County Judge, and two of the big ideas that I want to get across is, one, just to lower the tax rate. I don't care what's going on in the economy, whether it's a bull market or a bear market, local government needs to be asking, how do we cut taxation? Most importantly, property tax, because that is sinful. Property tax is evil, and we need to get rid of it altogether. But in the meantime, we need to start taking steps to cut tax at every chance that we can possibly get. And yes, that's going to mean the government, local government, will not be able to do as much, and God be praised for that, because then good men local will have to rise up and do those things, and it'll be much better situation. But the second thing that I want to push for is just transparency with the way that the county spends money. And by transparency, I don't mean the information is available to you if you have a research degree in how to figure out and trace the numbers. I think budgets, both what we're planning to spend, and then at the end of the year, what's actually spent ought to be published in the paper. That would be a really helpful accountability step for local government. And that's, we put that in the hands of all of our people so that people can look and say, one, are we being responsible? Is there anything that doesn't make sense here? And how do we think through these things? And so as Fayette County Judge, that would be something that would be something that I would push for, is to lower taxation and to be extremely transparent with every dollar that is spent, because every single dollar that Fayette County spends is a dollar that was taken from your pocket and from mine. And so I don't have the right, as a private citizen, I wouldn't have the right to take your stuff and just take your money and just spend it any way that I deemed fit. The government is the same way. They do not have the right to just unilaterally jack your sales price or your taxation rate through the roof, and then after the fact, try and figure out, well, where are we going to spend all of this money? We're just flush with cash. I've got an idea. So to the sheriff, to the commissioner's court, to Judge Weber, to all those local county officials who now find themselves flush with cash and they're trying to figure out, man, what do we do with all of this money? I've got a great idea. Give it back to the people from whom you stole it. That's what you should do with that money. Now, would you please, if any of this resonates with you, would you please, I would love for you to share this video. This may not be your favorite video. You may just want to share this article with people, but please, 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 in the name of all that is pure, good, true, lovely, get this paper and particularly this article, Sheriff asking for big raises for his officers. Get this in front of people and ask them questions. What do you think about this mentality? What do you think about the mentality of just jacking sales prices and now all of a sudden there's this mad grab for all the extra cash in the county? Is that healthy? Is that good? Should we continue that, or should we challenge it? Should we demand an apology and a change in policy? What do you think about county officials, people that are on taxation dollar, their salary comes from tax dollars? What do you think about them having a base pay and then actually making an exorbitant amount more than that? What do you think about that? Talk to people about this, because this is something that has to change and it has to start locally. So would you please either share this video, link to it, share this article, whatever you've got to do to talk to your friends, your family, your church, your people, whatever tribe you're in Fayette County. These are conversations that need to happen, and they need to happen right now. Contact your county commissioner and tell them that you will never vote for them again unless you hear them being an advocate at Commissioner's Court for lowering the taxation rate. All right? May God bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you, and may God use you locally to right some of these wrongs. God bless you. Thank you.